Good day, welcome to the Bite-Sized Bible, where we feast on God's Word one bite at a time. This is our first ever episode, and I'm excited about this project. We're going to be studying 1 Peter, calling this series Aliens and Strangers, and I want to read just the first phrase of the first verse of the book, which says this: Peter, an apostle of Jesus Christ. It's obviously this Peter who writes this book to the churches in Asia Minor, and Peter was a very average guy. We know this from the Bible. It mentions he was a fisherman, which meant that he had not attained to any kind of specific academic standard of being a Pharisee or someone else's disciple. But yet Jesus called him out of the fishing boat and said, "Follow me and I'll make you fishers. I'll make you a fisher of men." And that is where Jesus and Peter's relationship begins, and Peter's journey of discipleship begins. And he has some great high moments, where he correctly identifies Jesus as the Christ, the Son of the living God. And he walks on water, well, for a moment anyway, but then he has some bad moments when he stops looking at Jesus and he sinks, and then actually even denies Jesus Christ in his moment of great need right before his crucifixion. But Peter was, like us as well, great highs, great lows, an ordinary chap. But right towards the end of Jesus' time on earth, before his ascension, he commissions Peter with these specific words: "Look after my sheep, feed my lambs, care for my sheep." Putting Peter in a leadership position over the apostles and over the church generally as a shepherd, which was an amazing responsibility for a very average guy. And yet Peter stands up early on in the book of Acts and he preaches his first ever sermon, and 3,000 people get saved and baptized. Not bad for a first sermon, right? And this is how God begins to stir and use the apostle Peter in a mighty way. And so when he writes this book, it's now more than 30 years later, more than 30 years of being an apostle and of being a leader and a shepherd in God's church. And so this book is full of rich theology, rich teaching, rich imagery, far beyond the academic standard that you would have expected from a fisherman. God has fanned into flame a pretty bright spark here in Peter. But it also has this warm pastoral heart. You can see his concern and his compassion for the sheep is still there after many decades of leading the church. And I think this is a great encouragement before we even get into the meat of the text, that this is a story, this is a letter rather written by an average guy to average Christians. And if you ever feel average and you wonder, can God do anything with an average person like me, an unimportant person like me? Remember, this is who Peter is and who he's talking to as well. And I'm excited to get into it a little bit more in our next episode. Have a great day. Cheers for now.